All right. Go on. You can do it. All right, it is live. Why will it not? If I refresh. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. Edit audience. Public.
I'm just trying to click on like different internets right now to see if they'll work.
Gotcha. Yes, Dalton, we are live, good sir. Now, basically, I just have to, yeah, there we go. All right. So I am good.
Uh-oh. One thing opened.
So as you guys can see, we haven't really officially started yet. Ethan is still trying to, kind of get his computer up and running. He's had some computer issues the last time we tried to do this, but it's been a minute. So you good now?
I understood why last time it wouldn't work because, like I told you, there were 48 updates that needed to be downloaded and installed. Ooh. Yeah,
that's rough.
So, like, by the time it all got done, like, you guys were like 3/4 of the way through the pod. I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and skip this one. But hey, guys, we're back again.
Yes,
Ethan is back, kind of, sort of, at the moment. Hopefully, sticks that way.
Also, trying to throw his computer out the window. So there's that.
Well, if you do, I want that on video. I want that documented. I want to see you chuck that thing out the window. But yes, guys, we are back. It's been a couple of weeks. Haven't really posted much. Haven't really done much. I did actually get a brand new Open Fields Podcast Facebook page started. So if you haven't seen it or haven't followed it, follow it. I know I got another set or another group of people to actually send it to. Thank you guys for the ones that have actually followed the Open Fields Podcast Facebook page. Not quite sure how to figure out how to post it to the actual page yet. It won't let me actually stream from the Facebook page for another, 30 days or something like that. So as soon as we do, or as soon as it does allow me to do that, then I am going to actually just start broadcasting from there. But I'll post, of course, to my personal page. But yeah, E, where the hell you been, man? It's been a minute.
Yeah, I know life's been happening. Like I said, if it's not technical difficulties, I'm out of town or this, that, and the other. It's been a hectic few weeks.
Yeah, I get you, man. It really has been. I feel like I get to Tuesday and I'm thinking, man, what the hell? Am I going to do a podcast today? Probably a good idea. But then again, it's like, then I turn around, like I get caught up in college football, on PlayStation, or, I have my son and life gets in the way, as you said. But hey, we're back at least this week. So,
yeah. So speaking of football, we finished our first season.
Yeah. But hey, actually, real quick, before we really get started, I had something planned. Definitely, we're going to get into college football. We're going to get into, end of baseball season. We're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. We as I put is the episode title, it's really freestyle. So we're going to get into that. But I wanted to shout out real quick, first and foremost, kind of important, especially around this area. I don't know, and to each their own, of course, but whatever your, religious affiliation is, whatever your thoughts are on, a higher power, whatever it is, that's all great. But, I do want to shout out, I do want to say, really prayers to the Duncan family, first and foremost, like I said, because their son Cam Duncan was in a really bad car accident last week, is in the hospital in Morgantown. So Johnny, April, Peyton, all of you guys in the Duncan family, just to let you know, we're thinking about you. Everybody in this community is thinking about you. We're praying for Cam. God is good, and he makes miracles. He provides all kinds of miracles. This whole community has your back, has your support, has your love. So, just so you know, we're thinking about you guys. We love you. We're praying for you. We're praying for Cam, and God is good. So just want to shout you guys out, let you know that you are not in this alone. So, everybody keep up your prayers for Cam, Duncan, the Duncan family, the family of the young girl, Haley. I apologize. I don't know much on Haley's situation. I really don't. So I do apologize, but I at least want to shout that out for the young lady, Miss Haley. Pray for her and her family. Also, I want to give one last shout out to, I believe it is for the Taylor Strong. I'm trying to, is it James? I don't want to say it's Jeremy. I'm sorry. Jeremy Taylor, who is a firefighter who is battling stage 4, I believe, bile duct cancer, and it has metastasized into his other organs. So, everybody, from the bottom of my heart, pray for everybody, their families, and just pray that everybody will be okay. So, just wanted to, Johnny, like I said, man, I wanted to shout you guys out. You guys hit close to home with Cam's accident and everything. So, to the Duncan family, to Miss Haley and her family, to Jeremy Taylor and his family, we're all praying for you, but I want to get that out first and foremost. So pray for everybody, and we love you guys. So, welcome back, sir.
No, yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off what you just said, like, I'm not quite as connected to the community back there as I used to be, especially as much as you are. But no, yeah, just piggyback off of what you said. I saw a few things as I was scrolling Facebook the past couple of days. I wasn't really sure what the situation was or what was going on, but no, absolutely, like, all the well wishes to those families that I can give. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So as Johnny said, that Haley is Haley Claire. She was in an auto accident. She's only 16 years old. She's from Western Port, and it's been what, a couple of weeks or a couple of months now, from my understanding. So, again, praying for Cam, praying for Haley, praying for Jeremy, and well wishes, as you said, to everybody there involved, family, community, everybody. So, but yeah, okay, so 14 days for Haley. So, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. And hey, man, like I said, we really are praying for you guys. I couldn't tell you how many times I've prayed for Cam this week. So, but anyway, so want to get that out of the way and let everybody know that we were thinking about him, because I feel like that was kind of the most important thing I wanted to talk about today for sure. Anyway,
sure.
So yeah, like you said, life's kind of hit you. It's hit me in many multitudes of, obviously. So what's going on, man? I see you got your cup of coffee, I hope. There we go.
New cup of coffee. I haven't stickered this one up yet. So
and as you guys can see, Ethan is the quote unquote head coach of CCU, as Coastal Carolina. As we mentioned before, the old Chanticleers. Yeah. I always have the hardest time trying to pronounce that damn team name.
Yeah,
but we're in a college football 25 dynasty with a group of guys, and he is the Coastal Carolina head coach. That's going well. Sports in general kind of going well, I think, with the start of college football.
Yeah, the Chants, we finished with an undefeated record. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to make the college playoff. Coach Bobo of the now former Coach Bobo of the South
Florida Bulls
has booked his one-way ticket to Lincoln, Nebraska, and has become head coach of Nebraska. I think he's the only one that's kind of moved out of all of us, but we're kind of in the recruiting season right now. It's going pretty well, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't make the playoffs. Going with an undefeated record, winning the conference championship, and
beat me and my Marshall Thundering Herd.
Beat you in Marshall Thundering Herd. Beat Texas State, coached by Dylan Wagner, and then I beat East Carolina with Lou. I don't know what his last name is, but Lou.
Cherry.
So yeah, so we beat. Took care of business all season. wasn't good enough for the playoff, but hopefully next season we are. We're starting off the season in the top 25, so that's good.
Yeah. So, and I actually started out, I believe, 0-3 with close losses to Ohio State. I had that game won basically in the final couple minutes, let that one slip away. Got demolished in my first game against an FCS school. Um, went on a run of 6 in a row, and then had to play Ethan in Coastal Carolina, and then lost my final 4 games of the season. So
And they took you down. That's what it was.
yeah, they brought me down a peg or two, I guess. But yeah, man, like I really am excited about this. Like I know I rage quit.
Real quick, massive transfer for the Chants. Texas starting running back CJ Baxter decided to go to greener pastures in the teal turf, and so that was a big one.
Saw that. I saw that whenever I got on today. Wasn't gonna say nothing, but I figured you already knew. But anyway, yeah, lost my last three games. Lost the bowl game. Went 6-7. Kind of hoping that turn the next season around. Got a second season, so I'm happy with that. But when it comes to college football, real life college football has started. And we're now 3 weeks into the season. Of course, you know I'm a huge West Virginia fan. They're sitting at what 2-1 or no, sorry, 2-2 now. So I guess it's 4 weeks in. But kind of disappointed with the old Mountaineers. I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed in the program and just how things are going right now. How much college football have you actually, like real life college football, have you started to watch?
A lot. I've watched more college football in the first 4 weeks of this year than I have probably the past 3 years combined. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's kind of renewed my interest in college football recently, but it's every Saturday I've been watching multiple games. I think it's because I have so many apps that have games on it that I can just kind of go one after the other, especially having ESPN Plus, because I have like 20 games on a Saturday just through ESPN Plus, and I can kind of skirt through whichever ones I wanted to watch.
So what would you say so far in the first couple of weeks has been, I don't want to say like surprise or, underrated stuff. Like what would you say like has been your biggest, like, yeah, that's kind of awesome, like moment so far?
I think there's 4 or 5 really good quarterbacks in the nation right now. I think you got guys like Jackson Dart, you got Quinn Ewers. Carson Beck hasn't done quite as well as I thought he would, which that's been surprising to me. But I mean, they're still winning games, but he hasn't been the reason. Arnold from Oklahoma really, really has taken a hit. I mean, the Sooners really looked like crap the other night, and he got benched. So he kind of disappointed me. Yeah, like I said, Quinn Ewers. I think Cam Ward has been like the biggest surprise in Miami. Exactly. He has been slinging all over the yard, and he's just been tearing teams up.
But really, can it be considered really a surprise when he played really well at Houston when he was there.
Yeah.
Granted, it was under a Holgorsen type of or a Holgorsen offense, and then he transfers out. And where did Ward just come? Where did he go to?
I don't remember. Was it Washington State?
I might have been. It was somewhere, but I think this is his third school, and he was a highly touted recruit. I mean, I played really well, like I said, at Houston. So, does it really come to a surprise he's playing well at Miami? Washington State. Thanks, Chris.
Called it. I think he was kind of tucked away at Washington State. You know what I mean? He kind of got overshadowed by Washington last year. I do think it's a little bit surprising given the ups and downs that Miami's had. Really don't know, kind of what they had before, but it looks like now all they needed was a solid quarterback. Because they got some dudes down there, and they're running all over the field like they used to. So, that's exciting.
Well, let's kind of stay in the state of Florida, and I'll say kind of my biggest disappointment, especially given recruiting and hype, and as much as I want to say that West Virginia has been a disappointment at 2-2. Granted, they played some. I mean, Pitt's. I don't want to say it's Pitt's underrated, but it's Pitt.
Hmm.
Penn State is Penn State, and I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be a solid contender all year. That Florida Gators team, man,
Yeah,
they've got a brutal schedule,
yeah. I mean,
and
it's easy. They played Miami first game of the season. They got smoked. Um, and I think Tim Tebow needs to call Florida and tell them that they need to take number 15 off that bum Mertz. He has been so.
and I hate to say it now, like now think about it. Yeah, we're gonna stick obviously Florida, but is there any worse start to the season than Florida State?
No, no.
I mean,
Did they lose? Are they 0-4 right now?
no, they are 1-3. They did beat Cal this past weekend, who was 3-0, and they only beat them 13-9 at home.
That's yeah. So I think I saw Florida State's the only team in college football history to start off in the top 10 and lose 3 straight to non-ranked opponents in
That's
college
tough.
football.
That's tough. I mean, Florida, you got to look at Florida too. I mean, yes, it's still not as bad as Florida State, but when you start off the season, oh, where's it at? Now I got all kinds of, I think they're now what, 2-2, I think. So they lost to Miami, come back home against Samford, 45-7, lose at home against Texas A&M, so they're 1-2. So they are 2-2 now. They did beat Mississippi State on the road this past weekend.
I did watch them. It's not good either.
But they have a brutal schedule coming up in starting October. Actually, really starting next week. They have UCF at home, who's they're no slouch. Then they really hit the big portion of the SEC schedule with number 5 Tennessee on the road, at home against Kentucky, on the road at Georgia, at Texas, home against LSU, home against Ole Miss, and then of course you got your Florida State matchup at the end of the year. But come on now, that part of the schedule is just god awful for them.
Hey man, that's SEC football. You know what I mean? That's what you sign up for when you're in that conference. That's the thing is.
And Oklahoma found that out real quick last week, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think the SEC's finding out about Texas too.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. That is a fair statement. I will give you that.
The Horns they're doing it, man. And like they did. I mean, again, they haven't really played tough competition right now. They have beat, I think, one of the higher ranked teams. When they beat Michigan, they manhandled Michigan
in Michigan, in the Big House.
Yeah, in the Big House, and it wasn't even close.
But can we really say that Michigan is the same team as last year and even 2 years ago?
Well, no, they don't have a quarterback like they did last year with McCarthy, but I think Alex Orji, he showed up against USC. I'll tell you that much.
He did, yeah, he did. And I've never really been a big fan of USC, but I don't know what it's just recently. I've been finding myself rooting more for USC. I don't know why. I don't know. I have not a clue why. It's just like, even in college football, I started a road to glory, and the first team I picked when I was a 4-star recruit, I started at USC actually. But I'm finding myself rooting for them a little bit more, and unfortunately they lost this past weekend. But I don't know. It's just college football's really gained my attention. I mean, I've always watched college football, but it really has, like you said, it's gained your attention, obviously, and really gained mine. But I don't know. I feel like
what it is.
A little more disappointed the last, with the hype that West Virginia had and coming in, feel like they could be they're still a contender in the Big 12, but I think reality is going to hit here soon, and we'll see. But it's been a fun start so far.
But you know what it is? You know why I think I'm more interested in college football now? It's because I know more about the teams because the damn game came out this year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like I said, all the guys that I talked about, like I've played games with, like Jackson Dart. I'd had one whole season with Ole Miss and an offline franchise. Texas, I played with them. Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. Kid's going to be a stud. He has a lot to learn. He's only a freshman right now, but he's really good too. So I think the more I know about these teams, like in the games, it gets me more interested in it. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, not just college football. I mean, baseball is getting toward the end of their season. Hockey and NBA are getting ready to start up. So yeah, this is a really kind of a fun time of year, especially for sports fans. Um, I
Just a
mean,
heads up, this year's MLB The Show is free on the PlayStation Store right now.
I did see that. Yes, I kind of think I might actually download it, even though the season's almost over.
Yeah, I already have
Would
the library.
definitely gonna take that and possibly replace the AEW video game that I got for free. And sorry, THQ, it's nothing like N64 games back in the day. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, man. So like I said, I know it's kind of a freestyle Tuesday episode here.
Well,
Didn't really.
let's unpack college football a little bit more.
Hey,
Who's right now your Heisman favorite?
That is a very good question. Because I haven't really dug a whole lot into statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, life's kind of got to me. Or it got to you, got to me. So from a statistics standpoint, this might be kind of crazy. And I will give out one name. It's not a surprise. I just think with the type of player that this guy is, I really don't know why the hold on, it'll come to me. Travis Hunter. I don't know
Yeah.
why he's not. I'm not saying that he's not a Heisman favorite. I'm sure he's in top 5, top 7. I just think that the fact that this kid is a machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just last week against Baylor. And if you guys didn't see the end of that game, I didn't see the end of it till just the other day.
I watched it.
Last second Hail Mary to take it to overtime, and then the way that game ended was just insane. I mean, the kid plays both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Literally every game. I mean, the kid doesn't miss a snap. So far, I mean, he's got 37 receptions for 472 yards and 5 touchdowns, but he's also got 14 tackles, an interception, a tackle for loss. I mean, the dude just balls out, and he had 130 receiving yards against Baylor the other night. I mean, why is he not getting talked about more? I mean, he's playing both sides of the ball and doing at a high level.
It's because Colorado as a team is not good.
Let me ask you this then. So, and this is kind of something I've always wondered, and maybe you can kind of bring some light to it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you believe that maybe, just maybe, because he does play later games, that bias is there?
No, I think it's strictly because Colorado isn't good. I think they're getting beat. When they get beat handedly, like they did with Nebraska. That game, I mean, it wasn't necessarily close on the scoreboard, but it wasn't even as close as the score told it. Like those were like garbage points at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska thoroughly just dominated Colorado the entire time, and I think everybody sees that once they get deeper into conference play, they're going to get smoked again and again because I think they're in the Big 10 now, right? Or in the Big 12?
Big 12, yes.
Okay, so it's not as I think they're not. I don't think they're top 5 in that conference. I really don't. I think, everyone said the same problems they had last year are present this year. They can't stop the run. They can't run the ball, and their offense is predicated on Shadur throwing the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah. Well, now that I'll actually look at some of the stats, like, I mean, obviously you're going to have your Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. You're going to have your Quinn Ewers from Texas. You're You're right. Carson Beck, I mean, still 68% passing percentage. Doesn't have a whole lot of passing yards, but I mean, he's got 680. But I mean, you look at these numbers that, like you said, Jackson Dart is putting up. Cam Ward. I mean, these dudes are throwing the ball.
They're my top two.
Yeah, Cam Ward, throwing the ball 123 times so far. 72% pass completions, thrown for 1,439 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Also has a rushing touchdown. And then you got Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, throwing almost 80% completion, 1,554 yards, 12 tutties, and 2 interceptions. Also has 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's my number one right now. Big Jackson Dart guy.
Transfer from USC, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep. He transferred the year after. I think he sat behind Caleb Williams for 1 year, I think, and then he transferred last year, maybe.
I think this might be even year 3, if I'm not mistaken. But point is that those numbers are pretty impressive after 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep that up. I mean, there's no doubt you're going to be in New York, sitting, front row of that stage at the Heisman ceremony. So, I mean, yes, from a number standpoint, I think Dart is probably the numero uno. Cam Ward a close second. You got Milroe from Alabama. He's up there. As like I said, I think with even though the record doesn't show, I still think Travis Hunter should still be up there, but it's just based on what he does.
He should be in the conversation, but again, there's a reason why he's not. You know what I mean? It's just, as much as when everyone wants to say it's an individual award, like they don't put anybody up there that has like 4 losses on the season. But let's just call it how it is. Like I watched actually a documentary on the 2005 season, and the 3 finalists, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Vince Young, all played in the national championship.
So you are pro less loss, more recognition.
I think so. I think if you put up a ton of numbers and your team sucks, I think it really hurts you because first off, nobody watches your games because they think you're going to lose anyways. And I think you need more primetime games to be in that conversation.
That's fair. I mean, but if you're still putting up numbers against, slouches.
Well, Colt Brennan had better numbers than anybody, and he was never even invited to the finals. I don't think, was he?
Believe once, but I see your point there. But I mean, back when
yards every season, but he was, Hawaii was Hawaii.
But that's the thing is when you're playing teams in the Mountain West or the Pac. Well, sorry, they were in the what were they in? It was before the Mountain West.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the point is like, obviously college football, Division I college football, no matter where you play, is still going to be, top tier athletes. I mean, obviously it's not your Texas, it's not your Oklahoma, it's not your Florida, Georgia, whatever. But still, Division I's Division I. So yeah. I kind of get it, but when you're your Georgias of the world, when you're playing top 10 teams every other week and putting up numbers compared to Hawaii, who's playing San Jose State or whomever. Yeah, when you're playing teams like that obviously aren't to that level, then Colt Brennan threw for what, 15,000 yards over his career.
Insane. He put up a lot of numbers.
It's a lot, yeah. But that to me, there for a stretch, Hawaii was like quarterback U with with him and Tommy Chang.
Yeah, Colt Brennan's would introduce me to Hawaii football, to be honest with you. And another guy's Graham Harrell too. He put up 1 million yards at Tech, and they lost like 6 games a season except for 1 year. True. And Patrick Mahomes, same thing. You know what I mean? So like if you can put up 1,000,000 yards, but if you're not winning, you're not going to get considered.
True, I get it. I mean, I just feel like, and I'm trying to find the name of those Hawaii quarterbacks because there was a stretch where like there was a lot, and it's crazy to think that Colt Brennan died in 2021 too.
Yep.
Um,
Colt was in a bad spot. I'll say that he was in a very
yeah,
bad.
yeah. Said he died of an overdose of fentanyl apparently. But I tell
Yep.
you, if you ever go back and watch that dude's college film, oh my goodness.
I mean, talk about Sanders throwing it 50 times a game. Colt Brennan would throw it 55 or 60.
Yeah, yep. So, but yeah, so I just like I said, I am if the numbers are there, I think the respect should be there, but I get it from a who you're playing standpoint.
Mhm.
So, uh, but yeah, I think that right now, like I said, I think Dart is probably the front runner.
Mhm.
So, Timmy Chang, not Tommy, it's Timmy Chang, by the way.
I forget who they were playing against, but Jackson Dart had 24 straight completions.
Yeah,
He
that's a good one.
24 of 24 before he had a incompletion. I think he
Wow.
needed 2 more to set the college football record.
Wow.
Threw a slant right off the receiver's hands,
Mm.
and that stopped his streak there.
June Jones, that's who I was thinking. That was the coach who had Hawaii football there. Just, I mean, that stretch of quarterbacks that he had there at Hawaii was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, but was like to your point, like competition wise, they went to one major bowl game and got beat by 40. You know what I mean? I forget who they played against, but like it was like a major bowl game. It was like the Sugar Bowl or something like that. They got invited to
Yep.
the bowl, and
Hmm.
they got smoked.
I'm now trying to go back and see who it was, see what it was. It was the Sugar. Um, yep, they lost in the 2007 Sugar Bowl to Georgia and got stomped by 31.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's it's cool. You're putting up all these yards and all these points against San Diego State and Sam Houston State and all these basically one step above like Division I AA schools, and then you got to go play Georgia, who's spent the entire season playing against Alabama, LSU, and all them.
As
And
Marcus says, it shows no matter your numbers, your team still can't win.
yeah, correct.
I get
And,
it.
and that's one of the biggest knocks against Sanders right now too, among other things. But he's throwing the ball 50 times a game, and he's going to put up a bunch of numbers, but they're getting stomped. I mean, they beat Baylor by a last second, Hail Mary. They could have very easily lost that game. Got manhandled by Nebraska. So I mean, I think they're in for another rough season. I think
Yeah.
they won what, like 4 games last season. I think there's a world where they could lose like 4 or 5 more games this season at least. So
So, I kind of, kind of entailed with the whole college football theme is this year is going to be the 12-team playoff.
yes,
Um, well, one, thoughts on that? Two, does that play into any Heisman Trophy voting? Whether it's your East Coast or West Coast. I mean, do you think that plays into it as well?
for sure. If you're not a playoff team, so like let's say like for sake of the argument, let's say it's Jackson Dart or Cam Ward, right? And Jackson Dart, they go undefeated. Maybe they lose the conference championship, but they still get in the playoff. They're like the number 8 team, but Cam Ward has 2 losses and doesn't make the playoff. I think Jackson Dart gets the nod if they have similar numbers.
Okay, convince me then. Just because of that.
Teams in the playoff, one less loss, um, more competitive conference too.
That's where I was going to get to.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things where you know you play where you play and you play who you play against, but at the same time, there are levels to the game, and
Mhm.
I mean, I understand teams aren't responsible for their schedules 100%, but I mean, you gotta you gotta run through who you gotta run through, and if you're not playing against like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, all them boys like Ole Miss is going to, really got to put a hurting on the other teams if he's doing that against that competition.
And that's a fair statement. But let me go back to this real quick before we talk about the playoff. Is conferences.
Yeah.
This has always been kind of a debate, obviously, with those people who, those people who know, sports in general. Is obviously your SEC in college football is your premier football conference,
and it's not close. It's really not.
You're right, and I don't disagree. But do you think? And I know I keep asking your opinion. I'm going to give mine here, but do you really think that like a 3-loss SEC team, even back before this year's 12 team playoff, or even now it could be still? Do you think like a 3-loss SEC team deserves a shot at, say, a national championship over a undefeated or 1-loss ACC team or Big 12 team? Maybe not so much Big 12, but like I don't think the ACC football wise, I mean, it could be argued, but is to the level of SEC. But do you think like even a 3-loss SEC team who that is the premier conference, do you think a 3-loss SEC team deserves a spot in a national or a playoff or anything like that compared to maybe a lower tiered conference winner with 1 loss? Because it brings up the Florida State issue from last year. I mean, yes, they were a different team at the end of the year with the loss of their quarterback Travis, but I don't know. I just I don't believe that you still lost, whether the competition is up. Well, maybe, here compared to here, it's still a loss is a loss. So that's why I've always wondered.
But it depends on what you want. It depends on what you want in the playoff. Do you want the best teams, or do you want, someone who, I guess you want to say, earned it by winning their conference, or do you want the best teams? Because that 3-loss SEC team could run through that entire ACC, depending on what team it is.
But do you really want
that's the question? Do you want the best teams in the playoffs, or do you want to do the automatic bid type of stuff that the college basketball does?
I think I'd go with automatic bids. I do. I mean, to an extent. Yeah. I'm not putting in a team that's 9-4. I get that. Marcus says, unfortunately, Florida State would have gotten manhandled by any playoff team last year.
They would have gotten.
I get it. Still, I think they still deserve to be there. But
that's the conversation. Do you want the best teams there, or do you want, like I said, maybe not the best teams, but they won their conference type of thing? Like if you win the conference, you probably got a good shot of making it in, right? But also you have to look at who did you beat? What does because it goes back into strength of schedule type of stuff too. They put that in the equation for sure. I mean, like I don't think did Georgia make the playoff last year? I don't think they did.
To be honest, I don't really remember.
Alabama made it over them, I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. Yes. But that's kind of my point though too, is like I think that's kind of the thing too, is why I don't want to see I don't want to see Alabama and Georgia in the national championship every year. You get it once. It's more of an attraction. At that point, like I get it, they're great teams and that's all fine and dandy, but the parity in college football, especially over the last decade or more, where is it?
If there's the best teams, they're the best teams. You know what I mean?
But it's all coming from the same conference, and I get it's a great conference. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see an all SEC playoff.
You can't stop the kids from going there, and that's what the problem is.
That's a conversation for another day too. But
you can't stop the kids from going there if they're the top kids, especially now with NIL. It's a Wild West at this point, basically. If the kid wants to go to Alabama, he's going to go to Alabama.
I get it. Yeah, Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama.
Yep.
Were the 4 teams. And I mean, I think that the 4 seed, the 3 seed, it could have been. I don't think you put. I think that the Texas slid in there, especially as a 3 seed. But like again, that's a story for another time. But I don't know. I love my college football. I really do. I'm actually excited for the 12-team playoff myself. I really am.
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel about the top 4 seeds being conference champions. I really don't.
It'll play itself.
But I mean, because you think about this. I mean, the possibility it could happen. You could get West Virginia could lose 1 game or even 2 games in conference and have a 4-loss season and be the 4 seed in the conference in the 12-team playoff
Yeah.
over a undefeated ACC, or a 1-loss ACC team or something like that gets in. Like that's where like that imbalance kind of comes in that makes me question.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll play itself out. That's what the 12 team will do, is it'll weed out those teams. Like, sure, you're going to get a 4 seed, you might get a home field advantage, but 4-loss West Virginia now has to play, maybe a 2-loss Georgia team. Have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that. That's what like the more teams does, it kind of weeds itself out that way.
Which maybe that's the parity that I was just talking about that I do kind of like about it. So like now thinking about it, like, okay, like that's all fine and dandy. I think that as great as the conference championship or conference champions kind of portion of it, you're automatically in.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Then reseed it. I think that's maybe the one.
I mean, if we're being honest, it doesn't really matter because they all play bowl games for their bracket anyways.
Yeah,
they're all new sites. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
It really.
I guess you're right there. I'll give you that. I might side with you on this one. I'll give you that.
Because the thing of it is like, you all play at neutral sites anyways. You're both traveling, and you're gonna find out who the best team is. You know what I mean? It's, again, if you're a 4 seed, like in, maybe Georgia doesn't win the SEC or something, and now West Virginia has to play them like in the second round. Have fun.
Yeah.
We'll really see who gets this is the better team. You know what I mean? Like, seeds be damned at that point.
Yeah. So, and I guess, like you said, we'll see how things go. I'm intrigued to see it, see how it works.
It's like the 5-12 matchups in the tournaments,
and that's kind of what I was getting at. Is like, you get obviously you want to see more teams in it with the chance to win a national title. Real quick, I mean, how do you feel about the fact like it's really just about the right team getting hot at the right time?
I think it's a little bit different with football. I think there's not as many like factors. Like, I mean, baseball wise is like a rhythm, or you know what I mean. Baseball, you can get. I think getting hot in baseball is way different than football. I think in football, your athleticism can really cover up a lot of that. Where in baseball, you're predicated on, hitting a ball and that type of stuff. Where football is you versus me. If I'm faster than you, I'm going to get past you. Like, that is just that type of thing. I think football wise, it's a little bit different, but I mean, I can see that happening. You kind of get into a groove, and you start, your linemen start getting into a groove with blocking, and they kind of like stop everything that comes towards them. Anything can happen. But I don't think the hot factor goes into it, especially because everybody gets like a 2-week break almost. It seems like.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm excited to kind of see how it does play out. Obviously, I'm sure people are going to complain about something. You get like a undefeated Liberty or an undefeated like Charlotte or something like that. That
An undefeated Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina as the 12 seed, and they get to the second round and got to play the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs, like you said, or Ole Miss or whomever, and they just get manhandled. And I mean, do you sit here and think like, okay, maybe 12 teams was too much?
Nope. And I'll tell you why it's not too much, because the NCAA gets all that money.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. Yeah, I get it. So I think we're racking in the money, and once again, I won't comment on my opinion on the NCAA. I mean, yeah, I
just
love college football, but
happy the NIL exists now.
yeah, and
I really
actually,
am.
real quick, I will say, did you know? And I read this in an article when talking about WVU possibly, going after Jimbo Fisher and Neil Brown kind of shits the bed this season. Um, did you know that actually West Virginia and the Country Roads Trust is actually the 17th highest NIL yeah, I'm trying to think of the word. Like they're the number 17 ranked. I don't even know how the word was, but when it comes to like money coming into the like for NIL, they're like 17th in the country. I would have never thought that.
I can see that. But I also think that there's a sizable gap between 17 and 1.
And I didn't even see I didn't see a list of
I think
and I'm
that's
sure is Texas number 1 is
probably, I think A&M might be, to be honest with you. I think it's like A&M, like Texas. I think A&M has the most money for sure.
interesting. I'm going to look it up, see if I can't find it and see if but yeah, like I saw that and I'm thinking 17th, really?
Yeah,
Like
but it's like,
that's crazy.
well, I mean, again, there's like levels, right? I mean, I guarantee the gap between 17 and 16 is probably pretty big too.
I mean, just from a revenue standpoint, like I'm looking here, um, estimates 25 through 26, 2000 or yeah, 2025 through 2026. I mean, your Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Alabama, Nebraska's up there, Penn State, all those schools. Like I said, I saw West Virginia's Country Roads Trust was 17th. I was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that.
You want to know something too? I feel like we got cheated at WVU a little bit, because like I see these other like Big Ten schools, and their stadiums are incredible.
Oh, from like the Big 12?
Big Ten,
Oh yeah.
SEC schools, like all their stadiums are incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, like Milan Pusker is nice, it's cool, but like you see, like A&M holds like 108,000, the Big House
Mm-hmm.
holds 115, Nebraska holds 105. Like I checked West Virginia, and that holds like 60.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
And
mean?
that they've all and even with the upgrades, I think they're up to like 68 or something like that now. I mean,
Yeah,
I remember when they used to hold, 60, right at 60.
yeah,
Then it was like 62.5 or something like that. And I know I threw up that little banner there, but coach, have fun in Vegas.
yeah.
Jealous. I didn't even get to talking about how a month ago I was in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I love that city, by the way. I don't gamble much. I don't drink much, but I tell you, God bless America, do I love Las Vegas. Um, but Coach says Beaver looks cool. It's a erect set and ancient. Mountaineer Field has much better facilities. I've been to Beaver Stadium. I've been to Mountaineer Field. You're right, Coach. I haven't seen the facilities at Beaver Stadium, but just to be in a stadium with 110,000 other people was crazy.
the
Um,
the best facilities that and like I've seen like a lot of behind the scenes. Again, I've dove kind of headfirst into college football again this season. Texas A&M has the most impressive facilities I've ever seen. They have 2 indoor practice facilities under one like roof. They're oversized fields, so they have like, instead of like the 10-yard end zones, they have 30-yard end zones. So then they can kind of split it up if they're trying to do like separate things. So they have 2 of those. They
hmm,
have 4 outdoor fields. They have their weight room wasn't quite as impressive as I thought it was going to be, but it's still very impressive. They have MRI and X-ray machines in the stadium, so they don't have to go to the hospital. They just go right into the MRI X-ray machine in the stadium. They have these video board rooms that are as wide as a field, and it has the hash marks and everything. And they have projectors, and they show the other team lining up, so then they can line up on that field, and they can match up with like the video board as to like their matchups and like stuff like that. They have that for an offense and a defense.
Wow.
It's incredible. A&M has so much cool stuff.
Yeah, and to kind of go back to your stadium talk earlier is so obviously playing college football 25, and Coach Simpson, you'll really appreciate this one, is so I did the Road to Glory. Of course, it's you're my player or whatever, and started out as a 4-star recruit. Actually did a second one and started out at Oregon State because I was going to start there. Did start, transferred to West Virginia because, of course, I wanted to play at West Virginia. Went to the national title game, lost. Went to the national title game the next year, won. And as my last season, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere that, just big, big school, top team in the country. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to let Camden pick this. So I called him over to my room one day. I was like, Camden, which team do you want Daddy to play for on this game here? And he was just looking around, and he's like, how about that one? I'm like, oh, you want me to go? I don't even remember who it was, just some random. I'm like, oh, you don't want Daddy to go to Penn State because, your mommy went to Penn. Oh, yeah, Penn State. So my last season and my player on college football is I'm actually playing quarterback at Penn State. So,
Nice.
Yeah, number 1 team in the country, and I'm playing on like the varsity level because I want to enjoy the game. Like our dynasty, we're playing on like the next to last. I think it's like the All-American, and then you got Heisman, and we're playing on the All-American. And I don't know. I kind of had fun there to start and got excited thinking, oh, I got it figured out. Then I lost 3 or 4 in a row. I'm like, shit, I didn't figure this out yet. So I'm playing on a level that I can enjoy. So, but yes, I figured you'd like that, Coach. I'm playing as a quarterback at Penn State, but like going back to the facilities and stuff is like, I'm looking at like, I'm playing in like 2027 or something like that, but I'm seeing these stadiums like Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing, what was another one I saw? I saw Memorial Stadium in Indiana. I saw, Illinois, which was a really neat one. I played at Wisconsin. Like that is awesome.
Yep.
I'm obviously playing at Beaver Stadium, but I'm playing like these different stadiums, which are really cool. I'm playing at Texas Tech, like Jones Field. That's a neat freaking stadium.
Yeah.
Shout out EA Sports for the just the in-depth design of how they did these stadiums on the game was awesome.
But yeah, it's just like I said, like we went to like a D1 school. And I feel like we got cheated a little bit. Like I said, Milan Pusker holds 60,000, and then like you see like Texas A&M that holds like 114,000, and like the stadium looks like a Roman Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
They have yell practice at midnight before their games, which is awesome, by the way. They have like the entire student section filled up, and they go all through their chants and shit like that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. And if for those who don't, Marcus, of course, has Western Kentucky in our league. So
they're at Western Kentucky trying to get it done.
So yeah, but yeah, like I'm loving the fact that of course, school's back in, college football's back. Haven't checked. I know it's not much because I just realized that the Orioles were 6 games back of the Yankees now. Yep. They're 3-7 in their last 10, and I think that the Yankees are, I think, 8-2. But in the bottom,
I think
bottom of the 6th, 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Orioles are up 3-1 right now.
Okay.
So
I think it was win 1 game against Baltimore and they clinched the East.
Yeah, as I say, because I think there's only 6 games left.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to win against Baltimore. They just have to win 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we all know your opinion on winning the division. So
it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
That's a conversation we've had before, which I disagree with. It's still a championship of some kind. I know it's not the big one. It's not the World Series, but it's still a championship, and it should be celebrated. But that's the difference between you and I.
Here's the thing too, is the players can do what they want to do. They can celebrate it because they're the ones going through the 162 games. You know, I would expect them to celebrate it because it's like, hey, we got something out of this. It was 162 games. As a fan that's seen numerous ones of those, like probably 10 at least, it doesn't do it for me, especially since like we haven't seen the championship since '09. That's why, as like a fan base, I don't think the Yankees fans get up for just winning the division. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, and Coach Simpson and I've mentioned it before, guys. I know him as Chris. I still even call him Coach. But as Marcus says, I won a division title. Well, as a Pirate fan, good luck with that. Just actually having the Pirates having lost their 28th 20. This is their 28th losing season out of the last 32. So they've kind of shit the bed too. But as Coach Simpson said, ask the President's Trophy winner in the NHL. It's a useless trophy. You're right. Yep. Yes. But I mean, still, it's, do they really get an actual, is there actually a President's Trophy?
From what I understand is there is.
Okay. That's what I thought. But I mean, I get it, but it's still a trophy. It's still, it's still you showing something. It's not the Stanley Cup. I understand that. But it's still, it makes the, I guess, the pain of not losing or not winning the Stanley Cup maybe a little more bearable.
See, I mean, and that's just the thing of it is like, it's just a different type of expectation, I guess, because, you go to New York and they say like, you won the AL East, and they're like, okay, cool. But what about the World Series? That is the next question. Nobody gives a shit about a division. Nobody gives a shit about division series or the league championship series, like to make it to the World Series.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you there. Like if you go and you say, okay, so say like last year with the Orioles, they lost to the Rangers, who were the eventual World Series champion. They were AL division champions. Okay, that means nothing. That oh hey, we were American League Championship Series champions, which you won the pennant. Okay, now we're talking. But to say you won like the division series, like that means nothing.
And
absolutely nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm saying winning the AL East doesn't mean a damn thing, because you can win the AL East and then get swept in the first round of the playoff. It doesn't mean anything.
Again, winning the East made it a little bit more bearable, the fact that we lost in the first, well, basically the second round of the playoffs. But I mean,
that's where
we still had something to show.
Where we don't see eye to eye. But that's where we don't see eye to eye, because like that's like you still basically won as many playoff games as the Yankees did last year, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, but you can't win if you're not in.
But I mean, that's true. But if you're in there by winning the division and you still get swept out of it, what did you really accomplish?
You got in. That's all there is. I mean, you got in.
But that's the thing is like that's our disconnect there. Is like we don't just want to get in. That's not the goal.
Well, nobody just wants to get in. I mean, they want to win it all.
But that's what it sounds like, though. It's like, well, we made it there. Like that's okay. That's
if you get swept in the first round, like the Orioles did. Okay, well, they got in. They had the opportunity. They just didn't. They failed.
But that's not good enough.
I'm just saying, I guess a division series after 162 games should mean something more.
But it doesn't, because like at the end of the day, you're still in the same spot as every other team that didn't make it to the playoffs.
I digress. I digress. I mean, we will have this argument to the end of freaking time. And
yeah, it's just, to me, it doesn't make anything easier. It doesn't, like if you win the division and you still lose in the playoffs, like it doesn't make anything easier. It's still, a failed season.
Coach Simpson says, established teams demand more. So do their fan bases. Teams building need the stepping stones to build properly. I see both your points. So
What he said. Yeah,
he understands. I mean,
yeah.
there's an analogy that I want to use, but I'm going to keep it PG here. So
I think Coach hit the middle ground where we're both like coming from. As the Yankees, right? We do not just simply go for like, oh, we made the playoffs, whatever, that's cool. Like, no, that's not how the Yankees fan base is.
yeah, I know, I get it. You have a level of expectation, and that, but and you're one of several. You're the Yankees. You're the you are the who am I thinking of? You're the Steelers of you're that fan base. If you don't win a Super Bowl, oh well, we got 6 more from the past. But it's like you got 23 from the past, like or 20, technically 26 from the past. If 27, yeah. So I get it, I do. But like I said, that's the one thing that. But my fan base, I want a winning season. Okay, I understand that. There's got to be some positive, especially after 162 games. So
that's just, I mean, again, that's just, it shows like the different level of expectation there. It's one of those things where, like I said, it's a sense of used to it. You know what I mean? I think I told you, and I've put on this podcast before, until I was 12 years old, I thought the World Series was who are the Yankees going to play in the World Series?
Yeah.
And,
I get it.
from, was it 01 or 03 until 09, we didn't win a championship. And then we won one in 09. And now it's been 15 years since then. I don't know what to do with my hands. It's
I get it. I get it. I'm I'm sending you my Anyway,
it's last season the Yankees were 82 and 80, and it was the worst season of my entire lifetime.
I get it. And for those of you who haven't watched the Captain documentary on ESPN, you'll understand when Ethan talks about Yankee pride and the level of expectation that the Yankees have. Yeah, and I forgot I sent you a text message and you're using your phone because your computer is about to you're about to office space the shit out of your computer. So
definitely seems that way. But I mean, but like you said, it's like he kind of exemplified it in that series. It's literally just business at that point. Win the World Series, and that's that. That's
I mean, but like I said, that's any team's goal was to win the World Series. But there's still some positives in a failed season. That's how I'd look at it. But like I said, that's a conversation we've had before. That's an argument we've had before. That is it. I definitely do see your point. I will say that. I will say that it's not necessarily wrong. It's just to me there's still got to be some kind of after all 6 months of playing baseball. There's got to be some kind of positive. A winning record, division championship. To me, if you don't win the World Series, still got to be some kind of positive, especially to build to the future. Because if your expectation is just, oh well, we didn't win the World Series, so this season's shit. Well, what example does that show your organization, the people that are trying to get to the majors? Like, oh well, you in single A, who is a 23rd ranked prospect in the division or in the team farm system. Hey, major league team didn't win the World Series, so this season you could go undefeated. And oh well, because our team didn't win the World Series, it's a shit season. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Just to me, build to the future because that's what you're ultimately doing. Like Coach said too. I don't know. There's got to be some positive in it if you don't. So,
But I think at this point, though, like what you're saying, that if you're in that organization, like especially if you're in the Yankees organization, you already know that expectation. You're well aware.
yeah.
Like you don't think Jason Dominguez thought that, hey, when I get to the major leagues, I need to help this team win a championship. That's the expectation that he kind of signed up for and he appreciated. And that's what going back to Derek Jeter, he thought the same way. He thought, if I get up there, I need to help this team win a championship, and I will not stop until I do.
Do you think, and I'll move on from that after this, but do you think that even after a 120 plus loss season, you don't think that's the goal of every Chicago White Sox is to get to the majors to win a World Series?
I think they have a few more hurdles to get over.
I mean, yes, but I mean, everybody's expectation is to get to the major leagues, win a World Series. Obviously, it's not just the Yankees, but I guess, like I said, like
It's
yeah,
it's the year-to-year expectation, because largely the Yankees and teams like the Yankees keep a similar roster from year to year. If you think about that,
yeah,
they actually have the most consistency, more so because they have their guys like signed for multiple years. So like the expectation is like, you did this last year, you need to do better next season. If you don't, you know what I mean, because you're going to be here next season. I think that's a different thing too. And it just kind of kept the ball rolling. And I forget, I had something I was going to say about it, but I can't remember right now. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's having that in your organization can do one of two things. It can be intimidating or it can be invigorating. It's like, this organization brought me in with the expectation of winning a championship, and they brought me here to help them do that.
yeah. I get it. I understand. Like I'm never going to sit here and say that you're wrong. I mean, maybe I have in our private conversations, but I might disagree with you, but I'll never say like, hey, you're completely wrong on something, because I get it. But I mean, I did check here, by the way. Orioles up 4-1 now, so there's still a chance to come back and win that division. But hey, I'll take any playoff trip, because I think if they win tonight, they do lock up a playoff spot. So
Yeah,
at least they're in.
and it'll be between the Tigers and the Royals, depending on how those two play off, or it could be the Twins.
Could be the
Because
Twins, yeah.
still lurking around, and I think the Mariners are still in play too, if I'm not mistaken.
They are a game and a half. So Baltimore is, so the division leaders, obviously the Yankees. The Indians have clinched, and the Astros are the division leader in the West. The Twins are a couple of games back. Let me see here. The Twins are actually, no, I'm sorry. The Mariners are 4 games back of the Astros. So pretty much, I think the Astros are going to win that division.
Yeah.
So then you have Baltimore as the number 1 wild card. Detroit is number 2. Kansas City is a half game back. And then the Twins are a game back. Seattle is a game and a half. And Boston is 3.5.
Yeah. So it's going to come to, it's the Twins, it's the Mariners, and then it's like the Tigers and Royals, basically, who gets the last 2 wild card spots. And I think if you're Baltimore, I think you don't want to face the Tigers right now.
They played them 6 games in the last week, and I think they went 2-4.
Yeah, you do not, like, the Tigers are hot. Speaking of a hot team, the Tigers are a hot team. They've kind of figured out a way to sell off what they needed to sell off at the deadline, and then just kind of turn the season around, which is wild.
8-2 in their last 10.
And then you have teams like the Twins that are basically giving away. On August 16th, there were 17 games over 500. And now I think they're barely 3 games over 500 or something like that. And they've lost a spot in the wild card.
So here's 2 stats that and I'll move on from here, and we'll, do another topic or you know, talk about future, because I do have some news that I want to share with people at the end of this as well. So stick around. One, of course, being future guests. Two, some personal news that I'm going to be sharing too. But the two sets of numbers that I wanted to share was, and I just saw this one, which is crazy, is Kansas City is still 8 games over 500 in the third playoff spot by a game, and they have lost 7 in a row.
Yeah, they got swept twice in their last 2 series.
They're 2-8 in their last 10, but have lost 7 in a row.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That now looking at it. The other thing that is crazy is I believe I just saw it on July 20th, I believe it was. The San Diego Padres were 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
They were at 500 on July 20th or something. Their record right now, as of September 24th, they're 90-66. They have gone 40-16 in that time frame.
And they're still not close to the division lead.
And they're 3 games back of the Dodgers.
Yeah. So what's that about the Dodgers? You know what I mean? Like to kind of fight that off.
And so San Diego is the top seed or the top wild card seed, 3.5 games above the Mets, and 4 games ahead of Arizona, and then there's Atlanta at a game and a half back of the third seed or the third spot. So
in the National League, it looks so the Padres would probably have to play the East winner at that point, because I think the East or the Central, the NL Central one,
so which is the Brewers.
Yeah, the Brewers.
Which, by the way, I want to shout this out, jerk face. I remember at the very beginning of the season, a couple weeks in, even at the All-Star break, I believe you gave me shit for saying, "Oh, Arizona's dropped off." Hey, guess what? Arizona's in the playoff race right now. Just saying. I mean, you can still think they're garbage, but they're 87-70. They were like 10 or 12 or even might have even been 15 games under 500 at one point, and now they're 17 games over 500. So I just wanted to shout that out.
That's fine. I still think
besides
the Dodgers is the inferior league.
Well, I mean, after spending like $8 billion in the offseason, and they're still leading the division, but
I mean, they're only paying them $2 million a year.
That's true. They really are. But I just wanted to bring out like the Padres are 40-16 since September, or I'm sorry, July 20th or something. So
like real quick though, like how much of a disappointing season is that for the Twins though? I mean, you have to look at it. Last season, they won their first playoff game in 25 years. They won their first playoff series in the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. They built all the type up. The offseason, they cut $30 million of payroll, and now they just had a month-long collapse, and they fell out of the playoff race.
It hurts. 3-7 in their last 10, just like Baltimore. Yeah, and that, but they're still in the race, which is crazy.
Just the utter just collapse that they've had though. Like I said, they were 17 games over 500 on like August 16th, and now, like you said, they're like 3-7 in their last 10. They've fallen out of they were like a half game behind the Guardians for the Central at one point, and now they're out of the wild card race.
Yeah. And the fact that the Central Division could get 3 teams in the playoffs this year is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's usually not that way. It's usually the East.
Yeah, it's usually the East, and the Central is usually like, oh, we'll get 1 because the division winner.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, that's usually like that's always been my argument as to why it doesn't matter to win the division, because like I said, like the Yankees and Orioles, like one could have won 102 and one could have won 101.
Yep.
You didn't win the division, but like your compensation for that is, hey, you get to play the winner of the Central that won 84 games. So you know what I mean? And like that's where it like doesn't really matter, because you can get that favorable matchup, even though even though you actually could get a more favorable matchup winning or being in the wild card than it is winning the division, because you can get a better, you would play a better wild card team than you would being in the wild card and facing like the central winner.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's gonna be a fun time here in the last. Literally, this is the last week of the season. Like,
Yeah.
season ends on Sunday, so
Wow.
I mean, you got the Orioles have got the Yankees for 3 and the Bronx. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think they finish up with Minnesota. I believe is who they actually finish up with.
Yeah, it is Minnesota.
Yep.
And the thing of it is like the Yankees have 3 against Baltimore, and then they go 3 or 4 against Pittsburgh.
Wow. Like,
yeah.
Talk about scheduling love, Jesus.
No, you want to know what scheduling love is? The run that the Tigers have went on, their last 2 series are against Miami and Chicago White Sox.
That's yeah. But I mean, did you really expect the Tigers to be in? I mean, they've kind of improved over the last 2 seasons, but did you really expect them to be in, like, pushing for the second wild card?
No, but and then also
maybe the third wild card, but the second.
They just called up Jackson Jobe too, who's a stud.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he had like a 2 ERA. I get it's in the minor leagues, but still, he's. I mean, you don't get that ERA in the minors for being like a slapdick. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get that, but I mean, he's Paul Skeens. I mean, he's pitched really well, but
that kid can throw. That kid can throw a baseball.
Yeah, he can throw 98-mile-an-hour changeup.
Wild.
Ridiculous.
But no, yeah, that's like, speaking of like scheduling love, like how fortuitous of the Tigers to be on this like incredible run to be in the playoff spot now. And then like their last 2 series are against Miami, who is completely checked out, and then the White Sox, who, may not even show up.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, and then for the Twins, they have I'm not sure who they're playing now, but like I said, they finished against Baltimore. I think who are they playing?
Minnesota is playing Miami.
Oh, Miami. So they're playing
Miami. And Miami's beating them 4-1.
So then who are the Tigers playing then? I thought the Tigers were playing Miami. I got them mixed up.
The Tigers are playing Tampa Bay. They beat Tampa Bay today.
Yeah, so like they're playing Tampa Bay, which, I mean, that's not an easy out, but at the same time, it's not the Tampa Bay we've seen the past couple of years, though.
Correct. They did. Scooble won is undefeated in his last 9 starts. Won today, is 18-4 with a 2.39 ERA, in which will probably be, I would assume, his last start. That's got to pretty much wrap up the Cy Young for him, right?
Who called that before the season?
Yeah, well, you also you called Arizona shitty, so
but I said Scooble for Cy Young, and didn't I pick Judge for MVP, or did I pick Soto?
I think you picked Soto, but I'd have to go back and look.
I might have been Soto because the Judge was hitting behind him, but
I mean, you can't go wrong there. I mean, obviously Judge is going to win MVP.
Mike second, not make it to the end of the season. He was looking like the Cy Young. I picked Glasnow. He was looking like, and then he got hurt again.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Scooble, I think that pretty much wrapped up his Cy Young campaign. As Coach Simpson says, Skeens will be a Yankee soon enough. And it's funny that he says that, because my dad says that shit all the time. He's like, "Oh yeah, the Orioles, they get that really good player, and in a couple years he'll be a Yankee." So,
and it's funny. It's like we've only gotten one player from the Orioles that was like a top tier player. That was Mussina.
Zach Britton.
Mussina.
Well, in free agency, yes, but then you traded for Zach Britton, who had probably one of, if not the best, relief seasons of all time.
Yeah, but when the Yankees got him, he was coming off of a blown Achilles, so not quite the Zach Britton that had like a .8 ERA that season.
0.6, but who's counting?
It
But anyway,
wasn't quite that Zach Britton. Now,
yeah,
like
still
if they
pitched
would,
pretty well, but
you'd have had an argument on that one. But
yeah,
I think the last big name player the Yankees got from the Orioles was Musina, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
and he pitched, I think, even better as a Yankee than he did as an Oriole.
Just never won a World. Yeah, he has career high as last season. Actually, he won like 20 games.
I think he won 20 games his last year. His last year, the year before the Yankees won in 09.
Yeah, he won 20 games. Other than that, I mean, like, I'm trying to like rack my brain because like everyone always says like, oh, the Yankees get players, like get all these good players from like X team, but it's like it's kind of from like every team around. It's not just like one.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see here in the next, 5 days. I mean, there's 6 games left. I think before tonight, this will be 5 after tonight. And we'll see how the playoff race really kind of ends up. Probably, I would say probably in the next, I'd say probably before the weekend. I think we'll have it set. Of course, there'll probably going to be one or two spots left, like Saturday night and into Sunday. But I feel like playoff race is going to be pretty much determined, I think, before the weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have confidence the Yankees will win at least one game over the next 6 games.
Yeah, because that's all they need is to win one game over, the rest of the way, because they're up 6 games on the division right now, and with 6 to go. So
you just need to eke out one win against the Orioles or the Pirates, which, sorry, but track record says Yankees haven't really had too much Pirates before. So
yeah. But hey, Yankees are in, and I'll talk to you about this off camera because it's a ESPN playoff percentage thing, which I never understood. But yeah. Anyway, so college football back, NFL getting in the swing of things. Didn't even talk about the NFL. Baseball ending up. I'm sorry.
Baby.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I mentioned it before, and even in some conversations, like I think once he figures out some defenses, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. If he gets a decent offensive line in front of him, kid's going to be unstoppable.
He was slinging it last night.
He really did. Finally got a chance to see him actually pass instead of running for his life.
Yeah, and you know what? I would prefer he not Tua himself, he has been. He's kind of like lines up on linebackers and like, all right, me and you, buddy, which he probably shouldn't be doing that in the NFL, but we'll see how it goes.
Yep. So that'll definitely be another conversation. But yeah, so like I said, you even got NHL coming up. They're in their preseason. You got NBA coming up pretty soon.
I'm still an NHL fan free agent, by the way. I don't have.
I mean, well, if you're like most people, they try to stick within the same like cities around the same area. Me, unfortunately, I am not. I'm spread out. Like, I'm all over the place. But that's just me. But I mean, you're obviously Commanders, Redskins fan. I see you. I know obviously you're a Yankees fan, but I don't know how you feel about the Slapitals.
I mean, I'm a big Ovi guy. I've always been an Ovi guy, but his hair is about as gray as my computer is right now. So,
and he's my age, so
he's a hard ass, though. I'll tell you that much.
He's a damn good player. I'm not gonna let that one slide. Like he is. I mean, he's gonna most likely break. I mean, he's gonna break Gretzky's goal scoring record. So
yeah, that's about the only thing. Again, I don't know if we talked about this on the pod before, but Gretzky's records are the most unattainable records in sports.
His points record, yes. His points record is ridiculous.
His assist record.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even that one. I mean, the fact that he had I think he had like a dozen or more seasons of over like 150 points.
Yeah, and he had like 5 or 6 over 200, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that'll be cool to see him break like the goal record. But yeah, I mean, he's got his rookie year, starting a rookie year. This is Gretzky, 137, 164, 212, 196, 205, 208, 215. This is points, not assists. This is total points.
Yeah.
183, 149, 168, 142, 163, 121. Then he had 65 and 92, 93. He only played about half the season with the Kings. Then you get back to 94, 130. Then he had 48, 81, shortened season in 95, 96 with the Blues. He had 21 points in 18 games. First year with the Rangers, he has 97, 90, and then 62 in 70 games in his last year in 98, 99. So,
yeah, like the leader in points for the past few seasons has always been Connor McDavid, from what I can understand. And I think I did like some math on McDavid. I think he has to average like 220 points for the rest of his career to match Gretzky's point record.
Yeah. So he had 12 seasons. His first 12 seasons, he had 137 or more points. If you take away his first season, he had 11 straight seasons of at least 149 points. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 season of at least 100, almost 150 points. I mean, the fact that he had 3 straight 200 point seasons is crazy. He almost had a fourth because he had 196.
Yeah.
And he's playing 180. He was playing 80, 79, 80, 80, 80, 74, 80, 80, 79.
Yeah.
He had 149 points in 64 games. You know, and it's just like he had 60 in 1992, 93 with the Kings. He played 45 games. He had 65 points.
The most miraculous stat I think that I did with Gretzky was that he could have never scored one goal in his entire career, and he still would have been the points leader with just assists.
Yep, just assists. Yep.
Yeah, I looked at that. It was insane. And it would have been by a sizable margin. I think it would have been by like 100 or like 150 points.
It's kind of like the stat of, what was it with Barry Bonds? If you took away the stats from his 7 MVP seasons, he'd still have X amount of home runs. He'd still have, like it was like 300 or 400 home runs and X amount of, whatever. It was crazy to even just take away like this MVP seasons. The stats he'd still have. So,
and that's more to the point too, is that like I saw another one kind of similar that said, Shohei Ohtani is having has a season for the ages. He's having such a good season that it's Barry Bonds' 11th best season.
Yeah, I think I saw that, something like that too.
Insane. And I looked at it. It's true.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds had 2 straight seasons where his on-base percentage was over 590. In 2004, his on-base percentage was 608.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helps when you get walked 235 times, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, his on-base percentage was over 600. And I think he had like 8 or 9 seasons before that too, that where his on-base was over 400.
And the man's still not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. For reasons.
For reasons, but
I think if he wasn't a prick, I think he would have had a better shot. But he was.
Is that a euphemism?
What do you mean?
A prick?
No. I mean, I think.
Prick. Yeah.
But the thing is, if you look at all the steroid guys, a lot of them were assholes, and a lot of the media didn't like him in the first place. So then that just gave them more of an excuse to not vote him into the Hall of Fame. Because there are guys in the Hall of Fame that have used steroids. There's no doubt about it.
See, and that's where like I can get on a tangent on it. You still got to get in the plate. You still got to hit the ball. I mean,
yeah. I think you and I are both kind of in a similar situation on that one. But what I'm saying is, like, there are guys that were probably suspected at the time of using steroids or had used steroids, and it was kind of hush hush, and the writers still voted him in. But if you're an asshole like Barry Bonds was, who didn't get along with anybody, they're not going to do you any favors.
Yeah.
Same thing with Roger Clemens.
I mean, there's still, what was it? Was it? And that's like I've said before, it's a discussion for another time, and we've had before. Is there still who was it that somebody got elected into the Hall of Fame, and there's one guy who didn't vote him in? Was it Jeter? Was it? Yeah. Who doesn't? I mean, unless it was Matt Miller, who we all know Matt Miller's love for Derek Jeter.
It might have been Matt, actually.
It might have been Matt. But like, and that's of course a joke. He does bring up very good points with Jeter, but yes, Jeter is still a Hall of Famer no matter what way you looked at it. But then again, if Jeter is a Toronto Blue Jay, do the stats mean the same? But again, yeah, and so I will go back and apologize. I meant like a stick in the arm, not like a stick in this arm with Bonds. I was going with the needle and the whole steroid thing there. So,
no.
but you knew what I meant.
No, it's but yeah, like I said though, it's just if you do yourself no favors to the people that are responsible for voting you into this thing, as well as have that controversy on top of you, you have no shot.
Yeah. I think the numbers don't lie. Steroids or no steroids, in my opinion. I mean, you still got to get in the plate. You still got to get in the box, and you got to hitting the 98, 99 mile an hour fastball. Still pretty damn good feet, So I am pro Bonds.
So
yeah,
I hate to mean, but Barry Bonds' stats are like Tom Brady level legendary. It's insane. They did a study on all the pitches that Barry Bonds saw in his career, and they did a percentage. If he swung the bat at a ball, there was like an 84% chance it was in the strike zone. He didn't chase. That right there tells me that like it's not just steroids. Like he has an unbelievable understanding of the strike zone, an incredible eye at the plate, and it's just like there's a reason why he was a terrible coach, is because he can see things that other people can't. That's just the way it is.
Which is crazy. You would think like that would help, but if you can't see what he sees, it doesn't translate. I get.
Well, it's like why Michael Jordan was a shit owner and terrible talent evaluator,
because they weren't up to his level.
Yeah, he has no idea what to look for in like a normal human.
I love how the camera picks up your thumb, and it's like, yep. But
yeah, it's if you're like a superhuman athlete, like a Michael Jordan or a Barry Bonds, like you can't relate to normal athletes in any way, because anything you say, like, well, I just used to do this, it's like, well, we can't do that.
Yeah, I got you.
So,
like I said, I'm pro Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. I'm pro Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame. I'm even pro, Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Put those guys in. Like I said, you still got that one guy who voted for Jeter to not be in the Hall of Fame when his numbers really did prove he needed to be in. But that's just me.
I think fans are more sore about it than Jeter actually is. Because Jeter's like, I'm in. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you're right. I get it. I mean, you're in. What's the matter? Whether it was by an inch or by a mile, you're still in the Hall of Fame. So, but yeah, man. Well, good. Definitely a good episode coming back. It was kind of started out, with college football and more sports, obviously this week. But yeah, hopefully you'll be back again next week, and the computer will be up and running a little bit better, I guess, next week. Not that we had any problem with the phone, but
to be determined at this point with the computer. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the computer goes. If we'll update you guys on whether it be if it's going to be the computer or his laptop, or if it's RIP to his what is it, HP or Dell?
In the mail though. I forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah, the old 300 ring.
Yep. The USB-C sent me my 300 ring. For the 300 that I threw in the tournament.
Did a thing, got a thing, right?
What is it?
You did a thing and got a thing.
Sure did.
Awesome. That's awesome still, man. I'm still proud of you for that, for sure. Like I told you yesterday or day before yesterday, I was like, I'll eventually get mine.
Yeah.
I've got my 299. I've got my 289. I'll get there eventually.
Just don't.
Hoping.
That's the only thing is like that was the biggest thing in my mind on the final shot. Is like don't pull it. Just throw it where you've been thrown the entire time.
Hey, guess what I did on mine? On my 299 game.
You pulled it.
I got a little heavy with it. Got a little
Yeah.
heavy with it.
That's what everybody does. They yank it.
Yep. So, well, man, I guess until next week, the little bit of news that I did have is, again, I am still in contact with the Mazeys, Coach Randy Mazey and more Amanda Mazey, but definitely still trying to get scheduling fixed or figured out with getting them in there. I actually talked to Amanda today, and she was like, "Yeah, next week we have a guest. Actually, I didn't tell you this one. Former West Virginia University basketball member, center, now current assistant coach at University of Missouri for their men's basketball coach or men's team is Rob Summers. Actually, will be our guest next week. So looking forward to that one. Who actually they just honored him and along with the rest of the 2005 Elite Eight men's basketball team at the stadium at WVU this past week. Coach Beeline, Patrick Beeline, I mean Kevin Pittsnoggle, Gansey. I'm trying to think of who else was there. Hair Bear was there. JD Collins, Ted Talkington, Frank Young, just to name the ones that I can right off the top of my head. Even the support staff and everybody, like they had a good bit of people there, which was awesome. But Coach Rob Summers, former WVU basketball player and current assistant coach at the University of Missouri, will be our guest next week. And finally, I don't know, I got a meeting tomorrow. There will be I've told a couple of people, but definitely check out here very soon. Your boy will be possible play-by-play on the actual radio here soon. Once things are a little bit more official, I'll come back next week and announce what that is. But yeah, so the sneak peek is got some news coming up here very soon with some possible actual radio play-by-play here for this guy right here. But I will elaborate more next week. So, but yeah, definitely want to join us next week. Eventually the Macy's are going to get on. Like I said, Amanda made the joke kind of today, like, hey, what's your schedule looking like in 2027 when they're finally free? But we will get the Macy's on eventually. Coach Rob Summers is going to be on next week, as I mentioned, and but yeah, definitely good episode this week. Glad to have you back. Missed you. Think I did very well, and by myself with James Hartman there a couple weeks ago. If you guys didn't see that, check that out for sure. But yeah, we'll be back here next week with Coach Rob Summers from University of Missouri basketball, and yeah. Anything else you want to add there for the couple of people that kind of caught the end of this?
I'm good, man. I'm all good.
I love how I just think it's so funny. Like I'm literally like throwing you the bone. Like, hey man, here you go. Like, say what you want. End this thing on a high note. And you're just like, I'm good, man. Whatever. It's just like I'm good. So I'm going to do some laundry here real quick before I go to bed. Maybe even some college football here. And then hit the sack and get up and do it all again the same, tomorrow. Go to work, come home, relax, go to bed, do it all again the next day. So
that's all we can do.
Yep. Adulting. Got to love it, man. So, All right, everybody. Well, thank you all who did join, commented. Appreciate you guys very much. Again, look for us next week. It's going to be about 8 o'clock Eastern. It'll be 7 Central with Coach Rob Summers, former West Virginia University basketball player, current assistant coach for the University of Missouri men's basketball team. And hopefully you guys can join. So from your one host to the other host, I'm Ryan. That's Ethan. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.